So we've created our snowflake. Now we're going to put some text on here. You can put Christmas. You could put Merry Christmas. You could put the date. I'm going to put Christmas and the date on here. I think that's a nice thing so your parents can remember when you made it for them. So first thing we're going to do is a new sketch. So I'm going to click on Sketch. And I'm going to click on the top, the same plane that your snowflake is on. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to move over here. I'm going to put the text over here to start with. Anytime you add some text to an object, if one of the corners touches one of these lines, it gets constrained to the line, and then it's hard to move. So I'm going to just click on my text tool, and I'm going to drag my text out here so there's no way I can get in the way of any of these lines for right now. Okay, I like to use the Robo slab text because it's kind of the thickest and it comes out nicely when you 3D print it. I'm also going to click on bold, and I'm going to type in Christmas and press enter and a few spaces to kind of center the date and 2021. Okay, and I'm going to click the green check mark to say okay. Now it comes out really big, and that's okay because I can use my dimension tool up here, or press D or click on the dimension tool, and I can dimension this to about, let's say about 70. I'm going to press 70 and enter. And now, to get out of my dimension tool, now I can click on one of the corners and I can move this to where I want it. Now, I'm going to move it over there, and you want to try to move it somewhere so that all of the letters are at least touching or going through part of your snowflake, and you'll see why in a second. If one of the letters is not touching part of the snowflake, it'll 3D print it in the middle of nowhere in space, and then it'll fall apart when you try to print it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this, and I'm going to move this Christmas over, and notice when this little line, notice when I get it right on the line, boom, see the orange? It thinks I want to constrain it to that, and I really don't. So if you see that happen, move it a little bit further away. Move it somewhere else where it won't actually do that. So I'm going to try to put that like right here and see what happens. And actually, I got pretty lucky right there because I think there, you know what, I'm going to move it down a little bit. Do you see the eye? That's the tricky part, the top of the eye. If it's not touching something, it won't be part of your finished product. I'm going to move it up a little bit and see what happens, like right over here. Okay, now everything looks great except the eye. I have to move it down a little bit so the eye is there. And I think, the A isn't touching anything. So maybe if I scooch it over a little bit this way. Okay, now I think everything is touching something. It's not perfectly centered, but if I don't have the A at least touching part of that, I'm going to move it over just a teeny bit more. I need the I to be touching something, and I need the A to be touching something. Good. Everything is touching something a little bit. The H is just barely touching. I'm going to slide it back a little bit. There. Okay. So I think you can play around with that for a minute. Then I'm going to extrude that. And I think we extruded the snowflake 4 millimeters. So I'm going to extrude the text 5 millimeters. So I press 5 and press tab and clean green check mark. And now I can see when I turn it, see how it's flat in the bottom. Everything's flat in the bottom. And the text sticks out just a little higher. So I can still see all the snowflake part. But I also see the Christmas. Now, if you don't like that it's not completely centered, you could do the Christmas and the date in 2 separate text boxes. Okay, so you could do another sketch, do one sketch, do the word Christmas, put it where you want it. Do another sketch, do the number 2021, and that way I could have that centered, a little more centered if I wanted to. But anyway, that looks about right. And then you can send that to me. Okay, great.